a Sunday dinner that goes together real easy and cooks for a very long time. It lets me get some stuff done around the house, and it also fills the house with a really nice smell that gets you excited for dinner all day. So what I've got here are some big chunks of pork shoulder that I cut up from a roast, and the first thing I'm going to do is season these really well with salt and pepper and then sear them off. They're big chunks of meat. You don't have to be shy with the seasoning. So I've got about a quarter cup of vegetable oil here, and it's just starting to smoke a tiny bit, and so it's ready to start searing off my pork chunks. We're going to keep this medium-high to high heat to get a nice sear on those. And it looks like just about the right amount in here. We're not too crowded, so give those a few minutes on each side. Oh yeah. Now that's the sear I'm looking for. It is nice and dark and crusty. No burn though. And that took about 5 minutes. Great. Okay, I've got a nice sear going on both sides. So I'm going to take the meat out of here and start working on the braising liquid. Now, aside from getting a nice sear on the meat, we also got a real nice coating, or fond as they call it, on the bottom of the pan. It's golden, it's not burned, and that's going to bring a lot of flavor to the dish. So I'm going to turn my heat down now to medium, and I'm going to drain off or pour off most of the oil in there. There, I just left a tablespoon of oil behind there. So I have this at about medium heat, and now it's time to start building that braising sauce. And I'm going to start with 4 or 5 fillets of anchovy. And these tend to pop a little bit, so watch out. And it's another reason not to have this very hot. I'm just going to break those up a little bit. They'll dissolve into the sauce as we go. And now I'm going to add a quarter cup of capers. It's gonna give it a nice tartness. Also, about a quarter to a half teaspoon of crushed red chili, depending on how zesty you like it. And I'll just give that a minute or so to cook, and I'm going to come in with 1 medium onion, finely chopped. This is about a half a cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup of chopped onion. So I'll come at that with a pinch of salt and some black pepper. And we just want to cook this down until those onions start to soften up a little bit. Pay attention not to burn the fond on the bottom, because we want that flavor in there. You can even start scraping at it if you like, but we'll get it all off there in just a minute. Those onions have been cooking for 2 or 3 minutes, and now I'm going to come in with, looks like I've got about 7 cloves of garlic here. I didn't have to chop them up because this is going to cook for a real long time, but I did lightly smash them to get the flavors to come out. And those I'll just saute for another couple of minutes or so. Now that my garlic's been sauteing for about a minute, I'm going to bring the heat up to like a medium-high. And now's the time when I'm going to hit that with a good cup, more like a cup and a half, of a nice dry white wine. You could use a red wine here too, just nothing too sweet. And that is gonna get all that stuff up off the bottom of the pan. And we'll just bring this up to a boil to let the alcohol flash off, and then we'll continue layering our ingredients. Now I've got that alcohol flashed off. The wine is reduced down a bit. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw in a half a cup of chopped olives. I'm using green olives here. You can use Kalamata or a combination or none at all. We'll just get that up to a boil. And then I'm going to add in a 28-ounce can of stewed whole tomatoes that I'm going to pour into a bowl and just crush up with my hands. But I'll save you that visual. Oh, here are my just sort of roughly smashed up stewed tomatoes. And they'll just cook down real nice over the next few hours. Just throw those in there. And again, bring this back up to a boil, and then I will taste it to check for seasoning. So we're all heated up. Let's get a taste of that. Really just checking for salt. And it's pretty good. It's not very salty right now, which is going to be fine because we're going to be able to adjust this at the end when we're finishing it up. So I don't really want it very salty right now. And now I'll go ahead and put the meat back down into the sauce. Gently nestle the meat into this braising liquid. And all these juices can go in there. That's good flavor as well. And finally, I'll add a bundle of herbs. I've got some oregano, a sprig of rosemary, and several sprigs of thyme. And I just tie them together to make it easy to pull the stems out later. And we'll just tuck that in, right in there. So now I'll cover this up, and I'm going to pop it into a 300-degree oven. I'll check it at 3 hours, but I suspect it's going to take about 4. And you know what that means. So we're 3 hours in, and I've checked this and it seems like it's just about right now. This meat is nice and tender. Wow. But it still holds together pretty good. So now I'm going to take out the meat and finish up the sauce. Grab those herbs out of there. So this sauce already looks to be just about as thick as I want it to be. So I'm really only going to taste this and check for seasoning. That is the stuff. So I'm just going to finish that off with a little fresh chopped parsley, just to bring a little freshness in there. And just let that heat through for a minute, and we're done. Now, for serving, there's a couple of options. I could break all the meat up and put it in here and mix it all together, but I think I'm going to opt to break the meat up in larger chunks and serve the sauce on top. So, you just get yourself some of your favorite pasta or some polenta and top it with your ragout, and you got a Sunday dinner that anyone would be proud of. Now let's see how we did. Well, the pork is beautifully tender, but not squishy, and the sauce is kind of bright from the wine and the acidity of the olives and the capers. It's really a nice dish. Well, I hope you try this, and I hope you love it. And if you do, please like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.